Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Imperfect Momming, and we have a very special guest today, Cherri King. Welcome to Imperfect Momming.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a transformational strategist, and I work exclusively with tween and teenage girls of color. And we work on building self-confidence as well as self-esteem. We work on building positive body images and just the entire journey through those tween into teenage years, which if we all know can be very challenging. So
absolutely. And man, I wish somebody had taught me some body positivity as a tween.
Exactly. It's just exaggerated, it's magnified as a teen. I don't care if you're thin or if you're curvy. It's never the right, it's never the right body image. That's one of the main things. And surprisingly, that is the crux of most girls, whether they have really good self-esteem, really high self-esteem, if they have confidence. A lot of it is based on body image, how they're presenting themselves to the world. So it's a really big point that we generally address. We start with self-awareness and we go from there.
Yeah, I find that really interesting. I always talk about, because I had curly hair growing up, and everybody would always say, oh my gosh, I would kill for your curls. And I'd be like, I would kill to have straight hair. And I never thought of it like in a body perspective where, if you're thin, you wish you were more curvy. And if you're curvy, you wish you were more thin, or, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
And when I was in high school, I had more full-figured friends, not by any kind of, for any particular reason.
Right.
But looking back at what I know, I think that I felt better about myself surrounding myself with,
like attracts like. Yeah. So
yeah.
you're comfortable in that environment. Yeah.
And my goal was to feel better about myself because I was thinner. And it actually backfired because I had one friend that would always say, oh my gosh, you're so skinny. And so then I started feeling really bad about being skinny. So you really can't win.
It's amazing the power that our peers in that age group that they have on us. More so than our parents. We take advice, of our peers who have no experience, but we don't either, so we don't realize that they have no experience.
Right.
So and we feel like our parents they don't know, it's been decades since they've been our age. So, but that can be an adverse situation, and it can be a positive situation. And those are the things that we really work on with the girls. Just all of those things that we're going to go through, but we try to give them tools to be able to navigate that. And it all starts with self-awareness. who you are, embracing who you are. And I can remember it clearly going through. I wasn't really, really curvy, but I was hippie, so now that's popular.
Right, of course.
Right? Now it's pop. Okay, we're doing this now. Okay, I got
Right.
you.
Yeah.
But it was like terrible. You get the teasing and all of the things that you already are feeling uncomfortable about. When I was much thinner, huge eyes, and Popeye the Sailor Girl, just all kind of things that kids can get really, really creative with, with teasing you.
Yeah.
And I was very shy anyway, so that didn't help. Um, so I can kind of resonate with the girls, and I know kind of like what they're going through. So I
Yeah.
can provide some tools with kind of navigating that scene.
Yeah, and it makes sense that, you had a pain in your past, and so you want to help heal the pain in the present
Exactly.
with the youngsters. That's amazing. And when you made a really good point that when we're teenagers, we think our parents don't know anything, but we don't realize, like, we haven't learned the lesson of don't take advice from anybody that you wouldn't trade places with.
Exactly. I like that. I'm gonna borrow
Like that was something I learned, in my direct sales business, is don't take advice from anybody that you wouldn't trade places with. And that's been a motto as that I've lived by as a parent, as just a person who receives feedback from
Right.
other people.
Exactly. But my mother was very, very strong. She was one of those independent, women, and she really instilled that in me. Um, and I remember one lesson, I was crying. I was like, those girls don't like me, and I don't know why, and so maybe because they don't have, the big hips, or they don't have, I was trying to figure out why, you know.
Yeah.
And so my mother gave me a lesson, and I really convey that to the girls. In this world, you're always going to be in the middle. There's always going to be someone that you consider attractive, but there's going to be someone that you consider less attractive. There's always going to be someone richer than you, unfortunately, who's going to be, have less money than you. And just all the way, someone smarter than you, someone less smarter than you. You're always going to be in the middle. So if you're always trying to strive to get to, a plateau, or you're trying to, attain the celebrity that this girl you assume has, when you get there, there's going to be someone else, who is beyond that point. So if you focus and study yourself and be the best version of you, let you be the barometer that you're trying to achieve. You're always trying to be a better version of who you are at this point. Then you don't have come up with that I'm never enough. I'm never going to be enough, because that's what you're chasing. You're chasing never enough if you're trying to compare yourself to someone else. So I've tried to
Instead
live
of
by that
looking,
model. Yeah.
that's a really great advice. And instead of looking side to side, look behind you as far as like how far you've come, and
Exactly.
look at where you were a year ago versus where you are
Exactly.
now. That's amazing.
Exactly. And I always look at, I always compare it to, when you're at the beach and you're walking out to the water. So as long as you're looking forward, you don't know how far you've come. But if you turn around, the people are like this big. You're that far out, but you can't judge that just looking straight ahead.
Yeah. Or
So
side to side.
right, so I always like, okay, let's go to the beach theory. Okay, let's do our beach theory. Where are we? Where are we? Let's look back, like you just said, let's look back and see where we came. And now we can kind of judge where we are. Because if you're constantly just looking forward, you'll never be able to judge where you are, you know. And so, and it's all about, you know, perception, you know, in your belief system. And that's what we work with. We work with that belief system, and how can we utilize tools, kind of like what we're doing in our program now. How can we utilize tools that will help us to navigate where we are, this season of our life? How do we use those tools to navigate, you know, and to acclimate ourselves to that season? Because it could be a winter season. So if it's a winter season, what do? You shelter, you put on, you know, you cover, you protect yourself from the elements. If it's summer, you throw it off and you're free and you're, you know, and so we just have to discover that. And all of it, seasons are seasons, you know. So it's going to happen every year. Although I'm in Southern California, I'm not sure where you are. And it's like winter, we're through with you. We're done. Okay, you can go, right? We've blown out spring, go. Okay.
I mean,
so
this year's been a little bit different with the weather because I mean I'm in Fresno area,
okay.
so you know we're not that far off, but
Exactly.
I mean we still have the doors open, which is very unusual for end of May in this area, but no, I think that's a really, the beach analogy is amazing. The weather analogy is awesome. I love that too. And so the way that what I'm hearing is that you work with the girls themselves, or do you work with parents as well?
I actually partner with the parents, and I do a lot of coaching and information conveyance so that the parents are aware where the daughter is. And I am a part of that support network, which I encourage parents to develop a support network. A lot of girls, and I'm going to, you know, post about that as well. But a lot of girls, you know, they're like, I don't want to talk to a stranger. I don't want to deal with, you know, I'm not going to tell them. And so I encourage the parents not to introduce me as a stranger, but to introduce me as a part of that support network, and to provide another safe space to talk, discuss, and provide tools and so on and so forth. So I work with both. I work primarily with the girls, but I initiate, of course, the relationship through the parent.
Gotcha.
Work with parents too, because a lot of times when they come to me, they're kind of like at their wits' end. You know, it's like, she's going through this, I don't understand, I've tried this. And so I initially formed that network with the parent. So I partner with the parent, and then we bring the daughter in to discuss. Another thing that I realized is that, and so I've implemented that process. I've devised an entire program around having group sessions with the girls. And what I found is that the girls acclimate to the coaching, and they also are much more receptive in a group environment. And because it's that group mentality at that age, you know, okay, well, I'm not the only one doing it, so I'm not that weird. You know,
Right.
there are other girls who are going through the same thing. And so by that, they're able to, you know, form that kind of cohort where they have girls in similar positions. So I work with both.
Awesome. I actually did hear that there is a biological reason that we pull away from our parents in the teen years, and it's so that that there's not a lot of inbreeding. Like it's gross, but it's like that
Yeah.
biologically, that's why. So like I think that it happens in the wild too, like in mammals and whatnot,
Mhm.
that happens so that there's not a lot of, there's, you know, the
Mhm.
separation of the genes more, so that we're not just constantly, being incestuous and whatnot, which is very fascinating
Right.
to know that there's a biological reason that our kids are assholes. I mean,
It's like, when did I stop knowing everything to you? You know?
mhm.
And
Yeah.
and it's also and that's a very valid observation. And it's also that where that daughter is, where that young girl is placing her value, you know, if she sees just in the, oh, mom's not cool because you know, because not because she has to pay bills and make sure that I'm supported enough, but you know, mom's not cool because she doesn't know about this and she doesn't know about that. So we get to the point where it's where she's placing her value. And so I just did a post about bullying, and then I did what bullying was, but then I did another post. I just did another post about where that the bully is coming from, you know,
Yeah.
and her need to validate her value, and you know, and then the celebrated teen, as I call the bully, the celebrated teen is, you know, manufacturing an image. And where is she getting this from? She's getting from what's depicted on movies, TVs, music, all of that, that you have to be this type of a person to be celebrated, to be valuable. And if you reject that, if you reject the version that I've created to celebrate me and make me valuable, then that means that you're not buying into it. Okay, so now I need to create a campaign to either exclude you or make you want to be included in it. So, you know, it's a whole psychological, going back to the psychological aspect of it. Girls who do not have self-awareness, and self-awareness is just basically who you are, your beliefs, why you have those beliefs, how do you substantiate those beliefs, and the girls who do not have a high self-awareness, they're the most susceptible, because someone else, if you don't know who you are and why you are, to the degree that a teenager can, but you know, if you don't know who you are and why you are, and you're not convinced that I'm 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 who I am and I'm okay with it, you know, I'm okay with it. Then you're going to allow yourself to be susceptible to someone else making that decision for you.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're this person, so you're this type of person. This is the role you need to play, you know.
Right. So you wear glasses, so you're a nerd, and that's what,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Exactly.
this is the role that you're playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was in my 20s before I started wearing glasses because of that. You know, and I'm just like,
and it's funny because I forgot you were wearing glasses, and like I'm looking into the camera and not at your image. I just like that's a
exactly, yeah.
stereotype,
But
right?
I mean, that's a great example though,
Yeah.
because I did not I wouldn't start wearing glasses until I was well into until it's like, you have to. You don't have a choice because you can't see further than the computer, you know, so you kind of have to. So
what's so funny about that is that when I was in high school, I was a sophomore in high school, and my dad was I'm going to use the word cheap, to spend an extra $50 on the line removal from bifocals.
oh,
So I didn't need glasses all the time. I needed reading glasses, but
okay.
I needed reading glasses since I was in third grade. And I'd lost many, many pairs of glasses because I only needed them when reading.
Right.
And so they made bifocals so that I would just wear them all the time. And it was a normal glass on the larger part. And then they made the bifocals. Well, my dad didn't want to pay. My mom was like, "Are you kidding? I would have paid the $50." Like she was appalled by my dad's frugalness is the next word. Um, and I'm sophomore year of high school. There was a junior boy that I actually dated and had a crush on, and so we were on and off that whole year. And he called me Grandma, and that was my nickname. And I was so clueless that I thought that was cool, and I embraced my nickname of Grandma.
That's a lesson. That's a lesson, though.
Yeah.
That's a lesson, though, because you could have let that destroy you.
Right.
Know?
I would have never.
But it's your perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's your perspective, and that's what we try to get to the girls. You determine your value. You don't allow anyone else to. You determine, and this is why. You know, but that's fantastic. That's a great memory. You know.
I have no idea how, like, because I was thinking while you were talking, like, nobody ever really teaches us to figure out who we are. Like, it sounds like that's what you're doing with tweens and teens, is to figure out who you are, identify who you are, identify what you like, and be solid in that, and be solid in, I don't know, be solid, but like, don't let other people tell you who you are.
Right. Because they don't either. They don't know.
They don't either. Exactly. Yeah. Especially if they're your age, they don't know who they are either.
And it's not going to align with your principles. It generally does not align with your principles. It generally doesn't align with your objectives or who you want to be, you know, and eventually, and what your sparks, we call sparks, passions, and what your sparks are. It generally doesn't align with that. But if you're allowing someone else to convince you that no, I know that you like this, but that's not really you. What's really you is this. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I talked about this on a podcast just the other day that like I've enjoyed cross stitching since I was 12, and that is so not popular that you literally can barely go into a store and buy a cross stitch pattern anymore. Like, they don't sell them. That's how unpopular it is. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. I'm going to go to a football game, and I don't give a rat's behind about football. I'm going to sit here and cross stitch.
That's me. That's a great idea. That's me. Trying to, you know, keep with my husband, you know, even just at home. And it's like, if I ever wanted to talk to him, I'm going to have to endure some sports, because he goes fishing, which is the most boring thing, all the way to, of course, football or any of those. But that's a great idea. That's it.
Yeah. And
I won't cross stitch because I have no talent for that. But
I'm thinking about teaching it, because I want to single-handedly be the person who brings cross stitch back into the stores, because I want to be able to go to a store and browse the cross stitch and immediately take it home with me and not have to print off the pattern because I have to get it from Etsy because there are no patterns. Like, this is not okay with me.
Many things I have to deal with that, no.
Right. But like, I don't know where that level of security in myself came from, because I had insecurities, don't get me wrong, but I was like, I don't care what you say, I'm bringing my cross stitch to the football game because you guys want me to come here. I'm going to do my thing. I have no interest in watching football.
But that's a compromise. That's a compromise, number one. Number two, when you excel at something, and that's another lesson that we teach the girls, and the parent, when you excel at something, then you have more confidence. It's a natural confidence enhancer. Mm-hmm. So you excelled at cross stitching. Yeah. So you're comfortable in presenting that, you know. It's not something that you're just learning. It's not something that you're going to worry about, oh, they're going to think I'm a nerd, or, you know, they're going to whatever, we attribute to other people's opinion. We put that value on other people's opinion, but you excel at it, you know. And it's one of the things that I teach with the girls. If your daughter's being bullied, and I just say daughter if anyone's being bullied, but I just say daughters because that's who I work with. Then one of the things that you need to do, and I put that in a post, but I just put that in a post. One of the things that you need to do is to find out what her spark is and refocus her attention from the celebrated teen or bully to what does she excel in. So let's start concentrating on that. Does she excel in music? Okay. Does she excel in a specific instrument, maybe the piano? Okay, well, let's start talking about that. Where does she want to go with that? Does she want to take more lessons? Does she want to, have competitions, or does she want to, recitals, or get her involved in that? Because one, she's going to be surrounded with teens who are in the same space, and so she's going to find likeness. And then the second thing is, if it's a spark, she's going to excel at it because it's something that she's passionate about. And so as she excels in this endeavor, then it's going to naturally raise her confidence, because she can say when she sits down at that piano, she's in control, and she's going to have people around her who's encouraging her and they're accepting her. You see what I'm saying? So
I
that's
love
one
that.
of the main exercises when dealing with the bullying.
And when you say that, it made me remember, like, I not very many people know how to cross stitch, and therefore
Exactly.
you get a lot of compliments on like cross stitching and like, oh my gosh, that's so intricate. And like, I was at a birthday party the other day for my son's friend, and the mom of the kid was like, I do not have the patience for it. And I said,
that's the first thing I thought.
But think about it this way. You can stab something 1,000 times. Like, that's what you're doing, is you're just stabbing something 1,000 times, and you have the patience to stab something 1,000 times. And she's like, can you please teach me?
Yeah, you can stab something, you can think about someone, and you don't have to go to jail for it. Okay, that's a win-win-win.
Yeah, but I love what you're teaching young girls, because my son's, I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, that my son's been dealing with some bullying himself, because he's a little bit on the he's shorter, as far as I know. He's the shortest kid in fifth grade, and he was the shortest kid in fourth grade too. So that's when the teasing about that started, and he really started hating it towards the end of the year. And I didn't hear a lot about it this year, but last week he told me that some kids on the bus called him a short, not nice word. And it had been going on for a month or two, and I was like, why is this the first I'm hearing about it? And he said, because it didn't bother me until I saw that they were at junior high, and that it's gonna keep going because they're in junior high. Like, that's when it started bothering him. And what I reminded him of was the truth of who he is. And number one, he's had people pick on him before and lay hands on him, and he's bested those people. He's defended himself. And so he has that inner strength that he can draw on. But the reason that people pick on people is because they have an insecurity in themselves, like what you were saying. And I was calling that the darkness. They have a darkness inside of themselves. And so when they see the light, they're scared of the light. Mm-hmm. And so, and I told him, and this is absolutely true in my opinion, he has the brightest light of any kid that I've ever met. And of course that's going to intimidate other people. And so I gave him some tools on like what to say when they, like, if you say thank you to a bully, thanks for pointing that out. They're not going to know what to do because you just made fun of them and you said thank you.
Mhm.
You know, they just made fun of you and you said thank you. Like,
Hey, that's fantastic because it's like, I'm short.
right?
Oh,
Thanks for
wow.
telling
Well,
me.
well, thank you. Okay, thank you I'm sure no one else knew that but you. Thank you. You know, thank you. I
And
appreciate the assistance.
and that's tailor made to my son because he likes to be a little smartass. So like just
Those kids who are bullied or what, that's a good way to that's the if you look at like Kevin Hart, people like that, that's how they started the comedic route because they were teased and they were bullied and they were, and that was their response. That's how they dealt with it,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
And
you can make
and
a
even
really good career.
exactly, guess what? Kevin Hart went through the same thing. Someone pointed out to him that and now he's like a a millionaire, okay, if not
Yeah.
billionaire, So I'm going to keep on. I think I'm going to keep on this route.
Right. And I
Yeah.
told it I made being short a good thing too,
Mhm.
because that like part of it was he was the feeling like being short was bad. And I was like, dude, if you were taller, you couldn't have done what you just did, because he like threw a ball and it went between the two shopping carts and he squeezed on through and grabbed the ball and came back. And I was like, you wouldn't do that if you were taller,
Right.
because if you were taller, you would be wider too.
Exactly.
And he's like, I'm like the best at hide and seek because I can fit in places that nobody else can fit in. And I was
Exactly.
like, there you go.
I
And so
love it.
now he's,
I love his
yeah,
perspective. I love the way he's embraced who he is,
yeah,
and it's okay. And it is all a matter of conveying that to whoever, because they're not going to be okay with, and besides me being short, I'm intelligent. And can you think of something else? Okay, because I know I'm intelligent, I'm short, I'm, whatever his spark, and I'm this. Can you think of anything else for me? Because you helped me with the shortness. Can you think of something else for me? You know, and once you turn that attention back around, because now they're kind of like the other kids, which is what all of this is about. The other kids are kind of like, oh wow, okay, that didn't work out the way you thought it would,
right, for
and
sure.
and start pointing out these are the things that I off record that I tell my girls, no, you just give it back. Wow, wow. I didn't think anyone else knew.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought it was just me. I didn't think that can work for anything that they're saying, that can work with anything. Oh, well, you have a big nose. It, okay, thank you. Because I didn't think anyone else knew. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've been
Also,
telling
not only do
people
I
I
have
have
a
a big
big nose,
nose.
right? No, not okay. Okay. So I didn't think anyone noticed, but okay. Well, thank you for pointing that out. But not only do I have a big nose, but I have a 3.0 grade point average, and I have, I said, so think of something else. Can you think of something else for me that because I know I have these things, and I always tell them I have at least 3 things that you can point out in addition to. So, can you think of anything else? Because you're really good with pointing that out. I really didn't think anyone else noticed, but you were really good with pointing that out. So, can you think of anything else? No,
Oh,
and they're kind of like, well, that's not a good thing. It's not really. For me, it is. Okay, I get. For me, it is.
yeah.
It's
Because
not
I'm
for
a
you.
lot faster than you because I'm shorter than you are.
you know so and it's changing the perspective is what we're learning, changing. You just change that thought pattern, and you know because the bullies bully on who they think is vulnerable, or who
Yeah.
they think that they can hit pressure points and trigger and make them feel bad about themselves because they feel bad about themselves. So
They want
once
to
they realize it's no fun, what's the fun in know, one of my girls, her potential harasser, she's like, you know what? You're too simple, which is what they call stupid or whatever now. You're too simple to know when you're being insulted. And so I was like, well, what did you say? Well, when I'm insulted, then maybe I'll react differently, but really what your opinion is not that relevant, So this is the girl after, I guess, about 7 months of coaching on a one-on-one, she had built up, because before she wouldn't look you in the eye, and she would always have her head down. And so now she's just like, because she has that much confidence, and it just about face,
Yeah.
So really and I talk to them, not, what I perceive as their level of I talk, okay, well, if someone is telling, is their opinion really that relevant to you? And so the first time they hear it, they may not, they're like, what's relevant? What does that mean? And I
Right.
tell you, if you don't understand something that I'm saying, then ask me, because that's what I'm here for. And then like, it's not relevant. Is that your little cute pie?
Yeah. I was gonna say, speak of the devil and he appears.
And so relevant means, is it important to you? Is anything that they say going to really have an impact on your life? So, hey, sweetie.
I love this conversation. I love what you do. Bye. Is there a piece of advice that you want to share with moms listening?
A primary thing is to remain engaged. I have, if you go on my website, I have a book that talks about, helping your daughter with self-awareness, because that's always the first step. And some tips. It has tips in there regarding self-awareness, helping your daughter with the self-awareness. And so the primary thing is to remain engaged, because what happens is if you lose engagement with her, you don't know how she's managing whatever stage she's in. And, just because she said, oh, I'm okay, I'm handling it, or it's fine, or doesn't mean anything. But if you are acquainted with her and you're asking her questions such as, not just, oh, how was your day today? Because what is the answer to that? It's going to be okay. So what did you do today? Ask questions that are engaging. So what did you do today? Give me a couple of things that were really cool, that were really nice that you did today. Well, I can tell you, I can start. This happened to me today and I couldn't believe it. I mean, what would you have done in that situation? So you create a dialogue. Try to, when you're talking to your daughter, try to have no distraction. But if you just like, driving in the car and you're having a conversation, you want to, probably pay attention to the road. But, you can still engage in a conversation with your daughter, and not just questions that are yes or no, ask opinions, because that's the best way to find out what that thought process is, So what do you think about, what do you think about that? I'm kind of in the middle, not sure really. So what's your perspective? What do you think about that? And you can kind of find out, what's your favorite song? Really? Why is that your favorite? I'm gonna have to listen to it. Why is that your favorite song? Oh, okay. All right. Well, who's your favorite artist? Is Beyonce? Hopefully not. Is Beyonce your favorite artist? Why? Why is she? Why do you think she, And so you kind of get to know. So when there's an inflection, you can pick it up, and then you're also creating an environment where she's comfortable talking to you, she's comfortable. She says, well, one of the things that used to happen when I was younger, they used to say, sticks and stones can, break your bones. Words can never hurt me. Words do hurt.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't the best advice that you can give someone, because words, because they shape, your perspective. So, some of the advice is, don't tell, the words doesn't matter, their opinion doesn't matter, because it does to her. may not to you, but it does to her. And then you can find out why. Why does this person, when she said that, how did you feel? Get feelings. These are all tips that I have in the books that's available for parents.
Is this your book that you wrote, or it's a book that you?
Yeah, it's my book that I created,
awesome.
And it's a smaller book. Yeah, it's not my huge book that I'm writing, but it's just to give some practical tips to moms to help them start building that self-awareness with their daughters. And those are the things. Just remain engaged. Start a dialogue. To talk about and things that you take for granted and you tend to forget, that, when her menstrual cycle is about to begin, you need to have a sit-down conversation about what's going to happen, how your body's going to feel, how you need to maintain your body. I put these in posts, but, tips on how to live with your teenage daughter. So those are in posts that just things that you tend to take for granted because it's kind of like second nature to you. So but you need
been
to
there, done that for a while.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm over it. Okay. So, but she does that, and there's no way for her to know I take that back. She'll know, but she'll get it from her friends who probably haven't sat down with their mom and had that conversation. So it's essential. And that helps build a rapport between your daughter and you, when you have and you're going to feel funny. You may feel really crappy. You may feel like kind of irritable. These are all things because you're going through this stage. This is how you keep yourself clean. This is how you maintain. This is how you self-care. This is how, and just that conversation and just having that type of an intimate conversation with your daughter really builds that rapport between the two of you.
Yeah.
You can start having that type. Now, you're not trying to be her best friend. You're not trying to be her bud, but you're trying to be her mom. And part of the mom is a part of her support network. And that's what I was saying that, you need to build a support network that's outside so that they can have other positive reinforcing presence in their life, so that it's not just all on you, because if they start kind of questioning, but then they have, a couple of other people that's a part of that network, then you can kind of reinforce it.
That's awesome. That really good advice for
Thank
sure.
you.
Is there a book that you want to recommend in addition to your own, or?
I read so many, so.
I know. There's two camps. Either I have too many books to recommend one, or
exactly.
I don't read anything.
I just have, I have so many that I read, just for the information to get different perspectives and so on and so forth. Because we're all adult teenagers, so, and it's a matter of, have we worked through, our issues, and do we have the appropriate tools, to, one thing, and it really depends on where your daughter is, what stage she's in. So I hesitate to just recommend a book. One of the things that I would recommend for the mom is Who Moved My Cheese? And that's a really, really old book, but it's about preparation, being prepared for the changes that you will encounter. And I think it's an excellent book to help mothers prepare for that transition that their daughters will be going through. And so that's just a book I've read several times. It's kind of almost kind of like a cartoon about, but it's like Who Moved My Cheese? And so not seeing that a change, a change is going to come, but you're not preparing for it. And then all of a sudden it's here. And then, well, where's my cheese? Who moved my cheese? There's no more. It's depleted. What happened? And so you're so involved with being involved with life and so on and so forth. You're not watching that all of this, your relationship is eroding, and the chasm is getting bigger and bigger, because you're not focusing on that, not because you're a bad mom, but because you're doing a little thing called living. You're working with a little thing called life. So just to bring moms back and to refocus and to make that a part of the priority bucket.
No, I love that. It sounds like it's going to go on the list.
I love it. And I've read it several different stages in my life, so it means a little different in the different stages that I'm in.
Yeah.
And but I think it's a good book, particularly for moms, not maybe necessarily for the your daughter, your teen daughter, what have you. Because again, I don't know what stage she's in and what frame of mind she's in, but that's great for moms.
Awesome. And then where can our listeners find you?
You can find me at CherriLKing.com. That's my website. I'm also on Facebook. You can just put in Cherri L. King, Transformational Strategist. And I'm also on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram, which I wasn't really on before until I got into.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of on Instagram.
I'm right there with you. I liked Facebook the best. I'm sticking with Facebook. It's my
I'm comfortable now with Facebook. Right. I'm learning how to do the reels, and I'm just doing all of it. So it's really great. And then you can reach me at Coach Cherri at Cherri, and Cherri with an I, at CoachCherriLKing.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cherri, for being on Imperfect Momming. And you did an amazing job. We discussed this beforehand, that this was your first podcast. So
yes, it was.
Congratulations. You got that under your belt. Now you can go more, right?
Hey, I hope they're all as good a hostess as you.
So we will have another episode of Imperfect Momming coming for you next week. And until then, keep healing. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit AlysiaLyons.com. That's AlysiaLyons.com. See you next time.